Hi, it's me, Liberty. It's early on a Sunday morning before the kids come home, so I wanted to kind of share. I know I have a lot of single mom friends, um, and I know there are single dads out there too that could use this information. So I just wanted to share my perspective, the single parent perspective, and I know my way of doing things is not going to be the right way for everyone, but I have found so much strength in the way I do my parenting, and so I wanted to share. I have found that it's very important for my kids for me not to date. I know that not everyone can raise their kids and not date. So I'm not going to make a blanket statement and say everyone that has kids should not date ever again. I shouldn't say that because I'm sure there are great step parents out there. But for me personally, I have chosen to remain single until my kids are grown because I find that I have more available emotionally to give them and more time and energy to give them when I'm not focused on finding a relationship, maintaining a relationship. So that for me was the first commitment I made in my healing journey overall. And I can tell you that it was not it was not an easy decision. There were hardships. It gets tough, and you want to find a distraction. Like, I understand completely. But I have 6 things that I have done to help myself that may help other people, especially stressed out single parents. So I know how hard it gets, especially if you've got more than one and you have no help. Like, things can get out of hand quickly. So the first thing that I would suggest is to find a daily mindfulness practice. I've done videos of just taking 3 minutes in the morning. Whether you do it as an individual goal or as a family goal or both, I would suggest finding some meditation that you can incorporate in. Mine personally, in the morning, it's 3 minutes of silence followed by setting my intention in the morning and a commitment to what I'm going to do today to get me to where I'm going. And so I found that is, and then a short gratitude list following that. I find that that's great for me. It's great for the kids. It gets our morning started. It gets us in the right frame of mind. And also that mindfulness helps. As a single parent, we are completely stressed out on some areas. Like, we all have triggers. We all have things that we need to work through, and our kids are they are good at pushing those buttons. They're good at finding them and pushing them. So having that mindfulness to not yell at our kids, to not go crazy and take every electronic for a month. We need that mindfulness. And as parents, we don't have as much time to ourselves as, say, a single person with no responsibilities. We have a lot on our plates. So finding even 3 minutes has been so incredible for me to keep myself distanced from getting caught up in my own emotional triggers while they're melting down or whatever it is they're punching each other, whatever. So that daily mindfulness is, I think it's my number one. It's where I needed to start. And then the second was dating myself. I know a lot of married people that I follow and married friends that I have, they have found that dating each other and spending that date night was a requirement for their relationship. And so it got me thinking a few years ago, and I was like, since I want to remain single, maybe I could date myself. And, one of my friends suggested that I should do like a whole ceremony and marry myself, which I wear a ring every day that I bought for myself, but I'm going to do that eventually. Because I love that idea. Like, I'm going to walk down the aisle in a black dress by myself, like, and marry myself forever. But the idea that came along with that was this idea of dating myself, of courting myself. And every month I take myself, pre-COVID, I would take myself out for pizza. I would go and I would take my notebook and I would take some questions, and every month I would do intimacy building with myself. And there are hundreds of intimacy building questionnaires that you can find on the internet. But I found these questions and I really got into them, and I would like go all out answering I was building intimacy with myself. And I enjoy that idea of really getting to know myself, really understanding how I tick, and like, what do I like? What do I want? What do I need? What are my goals? Like, because that's something that I never got a chance to do as, a married woman, and then, a married woman with 3 kids, and then, whoa, I'm a single mom of 3 kids. I never had that time to put the emphasis on me and what I wanted and what I needed and what I might want as a goal. And so taking that time to put into me was incredible. I'll save some of that gushy stuff for the later videos on BDSM, but that for me, I needed to build that intimacy with myself, to know myself. And because I was committed to dating myself and marrying myself, I was able to give that energy to myself. It was odd at first, but I was like, I'm building this relationship as if it was a marriage. So I'm like, okay. And I just took that time and I really dedicated that time to me. And I still dedicate that time to me, even though I can't go out for pizza. I still spend time focused on, what does Liberty need? What does Liberty want? Like, how can I communicate better with you? How can I be more intimate with you? How can I be aware when we're spending this time together? So that really helped me to avoid relationships too, because I'm like, I get everything I need from myself. And I also have friends that I have emotional intimacy with. So, and I'm solo poly. So like, I still, if I need to act out a scene, like I have that ability to do those things, but the focus is now on me, and my free time is put more onto me, and self-care for zombies. Like, we have to turn it back on ourselves, especially when we're stressed out single parents. So the third thing that I did was stopping distractions. I was just mentioning yesterday to several people that I have found cutting out distractions to be helpful, but at the same time, distractions always find a way to pop up. And I mean, as a parent, I'm sure like, things could be going great and you're like, oh, I'm totally gonna focus on doing this yard work, or like, I gotta plant this bush and I gotta plow this snow, like whatever it is you gotta do. And like, someone's gonna flush something down the toilet and you're gonna spend like 2 days with shit soup, things are gonna come up. And the distractions are almost unlimited as a parent. But I found that the distractions that are easiest to see and easiest to stop were where I started. For me, TV, just the noise alone from the TV was very triggering for me. So that was something easy to cut out, because towards the end of my marriage, there were times when it was just TV on just for noise, and like I already started twitching. Like I couldn't handle it. So like the first thing that went was no TV noise. If there's not someone sitting there like actually engrossed in some, like, the TV's not on. And you have to have a valid reason for having that TV on, like, or it's not coming on. Unless you got Bluetooth headphones, like. And then the other distraction was social media. And I was a news junkie, so I would like literally get on the news website and like keep scrolling, just looking like, did anything new happen? Did anything new happen? Did anything new happen? Like, it wasn't even after it, that was after I stopped, because I've been on and off social media for years. And anyone that knows me knows I'll go off MIA for like 6-10 months, a year off social media, because I noticed that anytime that I took away while my kids were awake, their behaviors became big. They were louder, they were fighting more, they were making bigger messes, they were trying to get my attention. And, if you've ever hung out with someone and all they do is this, like, sooner or later you might get a little agitated and want to feel like a 5-year-old and start like stomping your feet and huffing and whatever. So that awareness of where I was distracting, and then I had to get to the why I was distracting, which that was a hard part, because as a parent with trauma, I had a lot of trauma triggers coming up, and so it was real easy just to check out and be like, what trauma? Like, what anxiety are you talking about right now? But after stopping that and then I'm able to stand back and be back in my body and see the dynamics of what's going on, and then check in. Oh, wow, I'm feeling really anxious right now, or I'm feeling incredibly afraid right now, or I'm feeling incredibly incompetent right now. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know what rules I should have. But until I stopped that distraction, I couldn't even comprehend the amount I was running until I saw it for what it was and stopped it. And I call it dissociation. And it's probably not clinical dissociation, but that act of checking out of your reality and wanting to be engrossed in something else, when I labeled it as dissociation, I was like, holy shit, I don't like that. And then seeing how the kids interact with me differently when I don't do that was all that I needed, basically, to be like, yep, okay, I'm not scrolling. And even, like I said, even the news, like I would, at night I would scroll the news for an hour and a half instead of focusing on, oh, you know what, I have homework. I'm supposed to be reading this textbook, so I can take this test tomorrow. But realizing the distractions that we put in place, it's not easy. And then to actually give them up, you have to be able to withstand the emotions that you're going to feel, because we do things because we're running from the emotions. So when you start to put the phone down, you're going to start feeling activated, and that's okay. That's normal. That's what's supposed to happen, so that you can actually rework that trauma. But I didn't realize that until I labeled it for what it was and stopped. Well, at least tried to stop, because like I said, things come up all the time as parents, like all the time. But another part of that is accepting the reality. This goes along well. We accept that things are how they are. We have an idea of how things could ultimately go, and then there's how we wanted them to go, and then there's reality. And I had a wonderful experience with this the other night. I was relaxing, and my kids were fighting, and it was way past bedtime. I staggered the kids' bedtime so that they each get one-on-one time, and my youngest still was not fully asleep, and so my middle child was upset because she wasn't getting her time like she was supposed to. And so I'm like just standing back watching and like enjoying the dynamic. And I can see like she's getting frustrated, and then her energy is amping up the other's energy. And so I had to remind her that like stop and breathe, like step back, because her energy was amping up her sister's energy. And I'm like, if you expect her to go to sleep, you can't have her amped up with energy. Like, and so I reminded her, be loving, and if you change your energy, you will affect her energy. And so she was able to see the reality, and she even says, this is not how I want this to go. And I said, exactly. That's exactly what you're supposed to be seeing. You're supposed to see, wow, okay, so I had an expectation here, and this is not how I wanted it to go, but this is the reality of the situation. And once she was able to see, this isn't how I wanted this to go, she was able to step back and change her energy. And it was so amazing to like have that experience, because I've been experiencing some of this for a while now, where I can see like things that are going on. I can see the separation more now. Like I still get caught up in things. I'm human, single parent of 3. I'm going to get caught up in things sometimes. But to see the fact that there is that separation, and that how we react affects how the other person reacts, because the other person could have been in the wrong. Like, she should have been asleep. She was in the wrong. But how we interact with people when they are wrong changes the whole dynamic. Because if you come at someone in a loving way and try to explain to them, hey, like, this is not how I thought this should go, they're able to change their energy too, because they're not going to be defensive, and they're not going to come at it as like, I'm going to show you. They'll be like, oh, wow, yeah, I can see how you would see this differently than me. I'm still not going to bed, but I can see how your feelings might be hurt. So knowing reality, like, that's huge, because, you know, when your kid flushes something down the toilet and you got shit soup for 2 days, that's reality. And the reality is someone made a mistake. Someone caused $200 worth of damage and a lot of cleaning. And then you look at the intention of it, and it was like, well, did they intentionally, flush something down the toilet? I mean, they could have. You don't know. But the reality of it is something has gone on, and it's something you have to take care of. And no amount of like yelling about it after the fact is going to change the reality. So the quicker you accept the reality and come up with a plan to tackle that reality, the better you are. And we can't teach these things to our kids unless we're practicing them too. So, because I know that I've been practicing these things with my family and setting family goals, because that's the fifth thing for me is setting goals, whether family goals or individual goals or both. Because I personally set family goals, and then I also have individual goals. And so I'm able to teach my kids, to how to see reality, how to breathe through discomfort, and all of these things, because I'm implementing them in myself, and I'm teaching my kids how to be strong, independent women, how to not rely on anybody but themselves, how to be self-responsible, how to be kind, empathetic individuals, but still have boundaries. And I'm teaching them these things while I'm learning them. And so I set these goals, and the goals are not big goals for my kids. It's 3 minutes in the morning before the bus. It's making a list of what you intend to feel that day, and then making yourself a to-do list of how you're going to get there, making yourself a short gratitude list in the morning and then in the evening. Because I know with my kids, I do a morning practice and then an evening practice. And in the evening practice, we'll do a guided meditation, and then we'll discuss what was one good thing that happened, what was one thing you want to work on, and then another gratitude list. They're short, simple check-ins, and they get to connect with me. They get to feel like I'm really connecting with them. And instead of, scrolling through the phone for 3 hours, I'm giving them individualized attention. And they thrive on that. Like, the kids will thrive on that attention. They need that attention. And I know for me, it was a lot for me to give my kids that attention, because it was something that I didn't get. And so I was honestly a little jealous about having to give up so much of my time. And so some of that jealousy was coming back, and I was getting triggered. And so I would just check out. And so knowing like, oh, wow, like, okay, I'm feeling jealous that I have to give up my time. I'm feeling disrespected because I would rather be doing this over here. And there was so many feelings underneath all of that. And that's why to stop the distractions, you really have to get in tune with what you're feeling so that you can process the feelings. And so I also set a family goal that we talk about our feelings. We have a lot of small family goals, and, just expressing our feelings to each other. Like, I don't like it when you do whatever it is that you're doing. Please do something else. And just getting my kids to verbalize their feelings instead of take them out on other people, that's been helpful too. We're not the best at that yet, but I'm dealing with a 5-year-old and a couple of tweens that but they go along with the family goals if you set them. If you're actively practicing it with them, they see that, and so they're more likely to go along with it. They may not like it, and if you catch them younger, they're more likely to do it. But if you cannot get them to go along with you, at least have your own individual goals, and practice, while chaos is going on, while they're doing, like, I kid you not, I've done EMDR while they're screaming bloody murder and like fighting, like not fighting, like I would stop if they were in danger, but literally, like, if they're yelling at each other and like trying to work something, and I'm like literally doing my EMDR so I can like work through this and see like, okay, wow, because each time you handle a situation differently than your parents handled it, you're rewiring your brain. So every time you can handle something a little bit better than your parents, you're doing good. So setting that goal for me of just, I had wrestled so hard with what does it mean to be a good mom, because I didn't have a mom. I was raised by a single dad, and there was a lot of abuse and things there. So like really getting in touch with what my idea of what a mom should be and what I should be doing, that was hard to wrestle with. And so the biggest thing that helped me was realizing, as a parent, my job is to do better than my parents did. And just seeing that, I was like, wow, okay, I'm doing so much better than my parents. There are always things that I want to do better. There will always be things I want to do better because I did not have a good example. So I'm far from being a perfect parent, far from being a good parent. I say I'm good enough for now. But setting those goals for myself and showing my kids that, hey, look at me, I'm working towards my goal, or hey, look at me, I'm journaling in the morning, or hey, look at me, you guys are fighting and I'm doing my grounding exercises, or hey, look at me, I'm scream singing while doing the dishes because that's self-care for me, or look at me, I'm choosing not to date people because I want to focus my energy on you and my goals. And anything that we can show our kids that we're doing for us, we are teaching them to do for themselves. So if we're consciously staying present and consciously working towards goals, we are teaching them how to work towards goals, how to build a sanity, basically. You're building sanity. And I think that could be nothing but good for them, because we're showing them how to take care of themselves. And we are ultimately their model for how they're going to interact with the world. How are they going to take care of themselves in an adult relationship? And even if they don't have a relationship, we are their guides. We are their models, until they start putting more emphasis on their friends. We're what they have. And so the best model we can be is going to be whatever we can show them. So I know for me personally, I try to do these 6 things and show them to my kids, because ultimately I want my kids to do these things. I want them to practice daily mindfulness. I want them to be intimate with themselves. I want them to not be distracted by life and to stay present. And I want them to accept the reality when it is not the greatest, and to be able to ground and handle breathing through the uncomfortability, and to handle anything that life comes at, anything that comes up in life, whatever. I want them to be able to be independent and handle it. And I want them to make goals too for not just themselves, but their own families. When they get to be moms themselves, I want them to be able to set family goals and to work towards them, and ultimately to set their own individual goals, and to not fall into that mom trap. And if they are, God forbid, single parents, I hope that they have the model and the strength to set their own self-care routine, because self-care is absolutely important for parents. And I know that not everyone is going to be able to commit to not dating while their kids are growing. I know it's probably not the right choice for everyone, but I know for me personally, I'm very proud of that choice. And I know because I can do anything for a short amount of time. I lived through hell for 15 years, so I can do 13 years single, focusing on me and being intimate with myself. So, but I know that not everyone can do that. But I promise you, if you can spend that time focused on you, learning yourself, being intimate with yourself. And by intimacy, I don't mean sexual intimacy. I'm more talking, it can be sexual intimacy, but I'm talking emotional intimacy and mental emotional intimacy. So, but I know that's not the easiest thing to do. So I just wanted to share the few things that I've been doing to help me as a stressed out single parent. I know it might not help everyone, but even picking a few things can help. So I will be sharing more later, I'm sure. I'll be around, but I will talk to you guys later. Bye.